Welcome back to part 2 of This Game Is Just Too Expensive. I've gathered my thoughts after yesterday's rant, and I decided to move back everything that I'd filmed the next couple of days just to talk about this, because my comment section made me think, and it's not a good thing. This video is not going to have images because there's a lot of ground to cover. Well, maybe it will. I don't know. We'll see. But welcome back to part 2 of This Game Is Too Dang Expensive. Let's dig on into this, shall we? Alright, so we're going to talk about alternatives and my comments section. So, first one we're going to talk about here is Valor versus Impermanence. This was actually a pretty big one. So, budget players, yes, I do not condone you, or actually I do not go against Valor being an alternative. It is the alternative to Imperm. If you can't afford it, it is, well, that. But there's a little thing in this format called As Thought, and somebody, I don't know how deranged they are, they're like, oh, nobody plays As Thought in this format. You're dumb, Robbie. I'm like, Lunalite Orchest? Anybody miss that memo? Like, I know it's not as popular as it once was, but it's still there. So basically, you're paying that extra $40 premium, maybe $50 premium, to get the ability to activate cards underneath Imperm and to blink columns and pendulum scales. Somebody else commented and was like, but why would you blink pendulum scales, man? Like, I'm just like, what? People know that pendulums have effects, right? So if I Imperm set it in that column, they'd place a scale, I can blink it for the next turn. Like, people do know that, right? Right? That's the thing. Like, you're basically paying for that multi-functioning algorithm. You don't get that with Valor. You don't get those two added effects by Valor. One, navigating underneath As a Thought and whatnot. But I do agree that Valor is the perfect alternative to it. That's good news to budget players. Like, $3, you got a place at a Valor's. If that, really. Like, now that tax is in play on TCG player, yeah, probably about $3. So, you just have to understand, in terms of, the extra oof, you're just kind of paying for the little extra added spice. So, also, unaffected by monster effects, can still Imperm it. You guys get that, right? Okay, so there's that. Now, also, somebody asked about they said Spellbook Engine and Ultrageist. I don't understand, Robbie. Why would you do that? Well, extravs are expensive. Alright, your average Timmy can't afford multiple copies of those. So your Spellbook Engine is, you're playing Blue Boys, and you're playing some of the Spellbook of Knowledges. And you do know that Ultrageist monsters are, in fact, spellcasters. Right? You guys know that, right? Like, I sound like a real condescending dick when I say that, but it's, like, you guys know the types of these monsters, right? That's why they play Secret Village. Like, sorry. But I only, know about this because one of my friends that couldn't afford extras, I mentioned this last video too, he was playing the Spellbook and he was playing Blue Boy, and he was playing, Secrets with the cards to send off to draw. And in the earlier days of Sky Striker, this format, it was really hard to keep up with that raw search power. And it was actually really weird, actually. Now, I do understand that it can conflict with your normal summon, because you're going to want to stick the guy to search for the multi-figure. I get that. Alright, but you need to look for alternatives. And splicing in a Spellbook Engine into the deck isn't terrible for alternative's sake. And for a budget deck, he won locals a couple times. He's gone 2-2 more than not, but, he's definitely had his silver lining there. So, it is a good alternative. Is it the best alternative to Extrav? Probably. I know dualities exist and things like that, but you gotta make those decisions down that skill tree with what you're trying to do for that deck. Now, somebody was like, you can't afford Phantasmes. Don't worry, you can still play Solid. I'm just like, my guy. Okay. Alright. So, you can do without Phantasmes in Solid. Your Sky Striker matchup becomes 25% worse, and that's fine. Alright, that's okay, we can deal with that. One of the comments he made was you can replace them with Super Poly. And Fusion of Fire. I'm a little bit iffy on the Fusion of Fire. The Super Poly I'm okay with. But the problem is, are you trying to play Sal without these Signet minings? Because, like, if we're having this discussion, I'm under the assumption that you've got minings. If you don't have minings, I don't think Salad is the best choice of things. Like, I actually think Salad without mining is unplayable at this point. I'm sure there will be a story or two that somebody will be like, oh, I did okay with it. I'm just like, I mean, abnormalities are abnormalities. Like, you're not going to be able to do that consistent run back every event. And that's the problem. Like, you're paying for that consistency. If you got the minings, then Super Polys are an okay alternative. I will give that. I think that's fine. Outside of that, yikes. I want to be positive and want to be like, yeah, you go, you try to break Salad. You do it without the Signets. You do it without the Phantasmes. Prove me wrong. But I'm also sitting here, I'm like, you should be playing something else. Like, you should be playing True Draco or something, because, like, the deck is just better without these cards. I don't know, that's my opinion. And then, okay, my other notes here talk about budget alternatives, okay? Now, you can still build Pendulum for about 100, 110. Our problem with Pendulum, though, is, and I say this every video, the deck ceiling is a lot higher than the average Joe wants to dedicate the time to. And I know that stinks, because the only other deck you can play is True Draco, and you hear how bad our community is like, the deck is so brainless. What? Why, George? And you either go with the extremely easy to build, super make everybody mad at you deck, or you play the 500 IQ Triff build over here that ends on like 11 negates, and I'm just sitting here going, but how did we get from here to there? Like, there's no middle ground really for players. Just kind of come in. Demise Striker is an alternative. It is, I mean, you got Pendulum, you got True Draco, and you got Striker. And I do know that the London list didn't play Imperm. Made sure of that after the video yesterday. But I'm just sitting here, I'm like, I can't, with my playstyle, personally, I don't want to play Striker without Imperm. I'm too attached to the card. I don't also see myself playing Veiler. Like, Ash and Imperm have grown on me as cards for the deck. So, my bias aside, my own personal skill, personally, I don't see myself playing without those. And it becomes very hard in Judgment, because I've seen the Demise list. I played Demise Striker a couple times for locals, and not a big fan of the playstyle. It doesn't scream MCOL 40. Like, it's just not for me. It's too much budget managing and things like that. Now, that's not to say for somebody else, but those, you have to remember, every event you go to, every, like, your locals and things, you're going to be adjusting for those centralized play styles and things like that. So what works for one person might not be the same truth for another. It's definitely something very important to understand about this game, is we are constantly evolving as players. And yeah, it might not work for me today, but next Tuesday I might just have a revelation and, suddenly know how to play the deck. Like, we're all humans, we're all evolving creatures, we're all learning constantly. We're using evolving in the sense of we learn more and we change every day. So that's something to point out. So yes, Striker is an alternative. I don't see myself wanting to play the Demise build. Not for me. Alright, maybe to somebody else, but not for me. And my last note on here was a big one that a lot of players were commenting, and it is a big point in every discussion, and it is buy early. A lot of people are like, yeah, I bought my minings at 20 apiece. Other people are like, yeah, I bought my Phantasmes at 160. These are the players that were rewarded, ones that went in early. And then you find yourself at this point in the game, and you're just like, I don't know what to do. I need those. I get that. And that was mainly my gripe yesterday. It's like, yes, this format is so much cheaper than past ones. I think a lot of people yesterday were like, oh, do you remember Teledad, Robbie? Of course I remember Teledad. Do you remember $250 Heraclenos? Do you remember $1,000 Teledad? Because I do. Do you remember expensive Lightsworn? Do you remember who had 2 Doom Caliber Knights in his deck? 2009 in Detroit. Actually, 2009. Topping. Actually, it was 2008. Yeah, it was 2008. Man, I'm old. To get my invite, to top my SJC. Yeah, I know how expensive past formats are. Alright? You just have to understand that this is a video for the average player out there. Because I understand, guys, like, the average person on a budget can't afford this. Yes, reprints will come, but that doesn't stop the ever so relevant, I need it now! Alright? I get it. I do. Alright? I get the feeling that I want to playtest now. Somebody brought up alternatives, print proxies. It's a good way to playtest. You can't play them in locals. It's a darn shame, but where is your entry point? What are you yourself looking to do with this? This was a good list of alternatives. Very good list. Alright? There's always the buy early. Alright? If you know you need something, get it ahead of time. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. And somebody else mentioned Orcust being a good budget deck right now. If I was a budget player, I would not be touching Orcust with a 10-foot pole. Not at all. If I already had Orcust, fine, dandy, alright? That's great. But some honest advice, Papa Robbie. If you're looking to get into the game right now, and you're like, oh man, I can't wait. Like, we're going into off-season here, Christmas. I really want to pick up a deck. I really want to pick up Orcust. I'm going to spend my money. January 2020 arrives, and then you just see every person that bought Orcust angry because something happens to them on the ban list. Orcust is that danger zone deck that I wouldn't want to touch. Same thing with Striker. Now, earlier I said to consider picking up Striker. Striker as a whole, no matter what happens into it, will still be a spliceable engine. Like, you've got, actually, Ice Striker True Draco just topped another regional. The hybrid, it does exist. As long as engage, actually I would say to engage, actually you'll still probably see something. Like, dual engage and horn drones, even if engage went to 2, these are things to consider. Like, I'm just saying, like, don't be surprised if you're one of those people, it's like, I really want to get into the game right now, let's buy Orcust. And you just get punished for it in literally 2 months. Not worth it for the long term. For the short term and you got money to blow, you make your own decision. You're your own human being, but not for me. Like, we have the Dark Magician Duels pack coming out literally in 2020 in January. I think that's the point you should be saving. Don't, no Mystic Fighters for me. No. Somebody commented and said, hey, you can just buy 2 boxes and have the whole Dragon Maid deck. Yeah, just like when they short print something and it's like 1 or 2 per case, you're gonna be so salty because it's the card you need. My comment section is hilarious. Like, I'm just saying, something's gonna be short print from those Dragon Maids, and if I'm wrong, well, you know, trends in Yu-Gi-Oh are trends in Yu-Gi-Oh, but I can smell that short print a mile away. Like, or my name's not MCool40. But, probably be calling myself Arkhole after this when we're wrong, but I digress. Expect infinite videos of, I was right, yeah! With my face looking like Sam, just spitting out water everywhere. That concludes the alternatives video. I do think for the way that this format is, and things like that, budget effectively, Duelist. You are your own worst enemy when it comes to your money. And remember, I got nothing else, quite honestly. Alright guys, peace out. Oh, always remember that when you spend your own money, you're always going to have regrets. That's how it always works. Especially when you spend $330 on Phantasmates. Remember that. Peace out. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a truffle shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out Vanquil40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.